Good morning folks, 21st Century Caveman here. Hope everybody's safe, hope everybody's well. So today we're going to be talking about the topic of car camping. And for those of you who are not familiar with this, it's a scenario whereby you're basically using your car or a van as a tent. So why would you consider doing this? Well, I think there are a number of advantages and I'm going to outline them now. I mean, clearly, look, the biggest one is going to be cost, isn't it? So this is clearly cheaper than renting out a bed and breakfast or staying in a hotel, and it's also cheaper than staying on a campsite, isn't it? Now, clearly your adventure isn't going to be entirely free because you've still got to put fuel in your tank, haven't you, and get to and from your destination. And as we all know, fuel isn't cheap, but you've still got to put it in your tank to get there in the first place, haven't you? Now, obviously, convenience is a big one as well, isn't it? You don't have to go through the tedious process of searching for campsites or hotel rooms, trying to get the best buy and all that stuff, really, looking at reviews, that sort of thing. You don't have to work to a timetable, really. You don't have to check in after a certain time or indeed check out of your room before a certain time. Basically, you pack your stuff up and you're away. And within reason, of course, you can choose your own location. For example, if you're in a suburban area, you can just park up in a nice quiet street. You can park up next to the beach and lay by, or somewhere a bit more secluded. Now, clearly, you've got to choose your location carefully because sometimes, whilst it may look idyllic, it may not be all it seems. So flexibility, that's another big one, isn't it? You can dine out whenever you want to, or indeed where you want to. You choose the time to travel, the route, the time you travel there and the time you'll arrive. Now obviously if you don't like your location, all you need to do is simply move on. And obviously if traffic is potentially going to be a big issue, then you can just travel through the night, can't you? Make sure you get a little bit of sleep before you go and make sure you're nice and fresh when you're travelling in the dark. And obviously if you are in your car and you're in a hellishly big queue, if you want to, you can just pull over, can't you? There's no issue with that at all. Now, clearly, car camping is going to be potentially easier as well, isn't it? And the reason I mean it's easier is because there's no setting up or messing around, is there? For example, you don't have to erect a tent. You don't have to peg the thing out. You're not fighting with other people for the best position on the campsite. Or, you're not sort of pitching up a tent, are you, and wondering whether or not somebody's been relieving themselves behind the bushes. So, it's easier and I think it's a little bit more convenient. And one thing is, of course, the fact that, you don't want to be trying to pitch a tent if it's absolutely chucking it down with rain, do you? You don't want to be absolutely soaked through before you get in your tent and also potentially covered in mud in the middle of a field. And if you don't get there at the right time, you might find yourself in one of the worst positions. So, for example, a dip in the middle of a muddy field where you just know the water's going to collect. Now, location is obviously a big one as well, isn't it? Because you can, within reasons, choose where you park up. Now, I have a lot of experience car camping and I think it's absolutely great, providing, of course, you've got a vehicle which meets your needs. I mean, I've got a big four-wheel drive. I'm a big bloke. I weigh 17.5 stone. I'm 6'4" tall, but my car is big enough for me to sleep comfortably and have a load of gear in there as well. So it suits my purposes. And I can tell you from experience, there's nothing more wonderful than pitching up in the evening, spending a lovely night by the beach, waking up to the sound of the waves crashing on the shore. And if it's rains during the night, it's really relaxing and very soothing, just hearing the rain sort of, pitter-pattering on the top of your car. So I like it. I think it's got lots and lots of beneficial attributes there. Now, in terms of things like privacy, obviously if you're in a tent, the fabric isn't very thick, is it? So I'm speaking from experience here. Often I've been on a campsite, certainly in my younger days, and all I can hear is somebody snoring really badly. And then, of course, you might have had a busy day hiking or something like that, and you've got loads of kids screaming and tearing around when you're trying to get to sleep. Now, security, I think, is a big advantage to car camping because obviously if you sleep in a car or a van, it's going to be more secure than sleeping in a tent. I mean, clearly you can lock your car, can't you? I think it's also safer to keep your personal possessions in a car or a van, and you can hide them from view, and you don't have to worry about stuff getting nicked as much, to my mind. And also, of course, if you're protected by a nice steel chassis, then that will separate you from the bogeyman. I think another thing is weather. That's definitely a consideration here, because clearly if you've got a vehicle, it's going to be watertight. Well, hopefully it is anyway. So you don't have to worry about camping and setting up, as I've already mentioned, in foul weather. You don't have to worry about high winds. Unless you're in an absolutely extraordinary situation, you don't have to worry about your car being blown away, do you? You don't have to worry about the hydrostatic head. You don't have to worry about how much rain your car or your van is going to take before it becomes saturated and you get water trickling through. So I think that the prospect of car camping is a very interesting one, and one which I'd certainly recommend, providing, of course, as I say, you have the right vehicle. So anyway, look, I'll leave you to think about that. Let me have your comments below and let me know whether or not you've actually done any car camping yourself, and share some of your experiences with me. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.